Well, as heard live on CJAD, federal government announcing, Mark Carney announcing, Prime Minister, that they will suspend the fuel excise tax beginning on Monday, and that suspension will go through straight until Labor Day. Prices will be reduced by 10 cents a litre for gas, 4 cents a litre on diesel. Let's go to Dan McTeague, President of Canadians for Affordable Energy, is online. Dan, welcome back.
Good to be here, Les.
Your instant reaction to the news out of Ottawa this morning.
Well, it won't do much on diesel. I mean, it's 5 cents, not 4 cents, because you have to add the tax on tax, the HST TPS on that. So that's almost 15%. So 11.5, but they round it off, it'll be a little closer to 12 cents a liter. So as far as gasoline is concerned, for diesel, 4 cents plus 15%. So you're looking at a little closer to almost 5 cents a liter. So that's good in itself. But I was a little surprised the federal government to do the right thing and get rid of the HST and the GST. It's 5% on the higher price. I mean, the issue here is what has caused this inflationary spike. We know it's because of what's happened in Iran, but we also recognize that price of diesel, jet fuel, and gasoline have all been supercharged by provincial and federal governments coming together to add this tax on tax, which for a long time has been a real sore spot for many people. But now it's turbocharging the cost of pretty much everything. So let's put it in perspective. Why am I not happy? Because 5% from the federal government on 70 cents a liter. We're going to start to be 3.5, 4 cents a liter. Now, that may not be a big deal when it comes down to diesel and gasoline, but if you're looking at 70 cents and even higher for jet fuel, it really means that between the two levels of government, which is what this should have been done coordinated, you would see a rather dramatic decrease of some 25 cents a liter rather than 4 cents a liter in the case of diesel, and an equivalent amount, maybe about 22 cents a liter for gasoline.
I'll tell you, Dan, the tail end of the press conference, okay, they just wrapped up in Ottawa. Last question that was asked was from Hélène Bouzari, and she asked, and she asked the Prime Minister, did you get any assurances from gas retailers that the price, that the reduction would be passed on to consumers? The Prime Minister responded saying, he was a little surprised by the question. He said, no, we didn't get any guarantees, but we suspect it'll be like in the past when they got rid of the consumer carbon tax. That's what their hope is. You think that's accurate?
Well, Bizzetti should have called me. She knows I'm the expert on this stuff, and I know where gas is going.
Well, she had the Prime Minister right in front of her.
Yeah, well, he probably doesn't know in the same way. If I had given him advice, I'd say deal with the GST, not with the excise tax on a temporary basis, and show people how much you're making every day, because it's a windfall. Mm-hmm. Government's making money on the GST on the higher price so they can offset some of the loss on excise tax, and it won't have that impact on inflation that they think if, in fact, in one fell swoop, we see diesel prices going up 15, 20 cents a liter. It'll be lost on most people. And I guess what I say to Hélène and others, and I've done many interviews with her in the past 20, 25 years when I was on the Hill, was that I'd be the biggest skeptic of what they don't do and what they do. But I can tell you that when I make my predictions for gas prices on Monday, you will see a net drop of 10 cents a liter. Mm-hmm. However, if on Saturday and Sunday it goes up 5-10 cents a liter, many people are going to say, well, we see what they're doing. They're raising prices so that they can drop prices. But they follow the market, and they follow the New York Harbor spot market on cargo loyally. And the only difference, as we've talked many, many times, Elias, is the retail margin, which tends to go up on Mondays, not on Sundays or Saturdays. They tend to drop. So people may, in fact, not see this. I will, and I'll be able to call off what is a rip-off and what is, in fact, correct pricing. But this is where gas stations get themselves in a lot of trouble. They do themselves no good by trying to be cool and trendy and drop prices and get rid of the retail margin, that margin that's necessary for them to actually stay in business. They give a false signal of what the real price should be. I try in my predictions at affordableenergy.ca and, of course, gaswizard.ca. I give the wholesale price plus the usual retail margin. I don't fool around with the up and down machinations of gas stations. And so we'll see what happens, but it has to be a net decrease of at least 11.5 cents a liter for gasoline and 5 cents for diesel. Unfortunately, we won't know. I would hold off until Monday to buy, but I would also say that I don't expect gas stations to pay for that. They don't have to pay for it. In other words, they don't have to surrender that money to the government as of Monday morning, so they're there's no point in them charging it. If they do, they'll lose business, and needless to say, get a lot of flack from the public.
Okay, let me ask you, because I have a question from a listener saying, okay, what does this mean for Quebec, right? Because obviously we're specific here in Quebec. We still have the cap and trade carbon system, and so we're still paying a tax that the rest of the country does not have anymore, right? So does that change anything here on these adjustments? What's the fuel forecast for Quebec?
Well, it's going to continue to be extraordinarily high because while you have the cap and trade, you also have to 9, 10, 11 cents. You also have a 7-cent retail margin. Let me just put this a bit away here. You also have the second carbon tax, which is the clean fuel standard. That's about 7 cents a liter. It's about 8 cents for diesel. So all those taxes remain in place except for the excise tax, which is removed temporarily until, I guess, when we get back in September.
Gotcha. Okay. What do you think we should do? Dan, I'm just wondering, and we're going to get other announcements from the Quebec government today on affordability. They're going to attack some taxes that you get dinged with at the grocery store, prepared meals, that kind of stuff. So it seems like all governments are super focused on affordability. I guess my question is if they're going about it the right way.
I think they don't have much of a choice, but it's clear that the options and policies we've had of larding on major taxes on fuel wasn't such a bright idea because the world's not transitioning away from it. We can't wish these things away. Diesel, hydrocarbons, jet fuel, gasoline, propane, natural gas are all things that a modern economy needs to survive. And the fact that we've trivialized it, we've downgraded it, we've sort of said we can do away with it, or it has something to do with changing the weather has been proven to be patently misleading. And we're now faced with a problem, an even greater problem, which is going to begin next week as the world truly has to signal there is a shortage of all these supplies that could impact us here. Tell anyone to go to tanker traffic and watch the vessels coming from the Middle East to the U.S. Gulf Coast to pick up spare barrels of oil that they can't get. That's going to send prices flying, regardless of whether physical, financial traders of oil recognize it or not. Here's the deal. $97 according to them. But if I'm taking a barrel of oil and I'm buying anywhere in the world, it's more like $140 a barrel. That's going to leave a mark, and it's going to pretty much take away any initiative by governments. I shouldn't be saying they can't do anything, they shouldn't do anything. But considering the magnitude of the problem, we have a shortage in supply. Canada decided not to be part of that many years ago by saying there's no business case for this kind of stuff. I think we're going to start to eat our hat for saying those things and voting for that kind of nonsense. Dan, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much for hopping on last minute here. Good to be here. Thanks, Elias. Bye-bye. Dan McTeague, gaswizard.ca. He's president of Canadians for Affordable Energy.
I'm Luke Wilson. Join me each week for Film Never Lies. Since retiring from the NFL, I've had a lot on my mind, and now I've got my own show. So if you're tired of lazy takes, if you want honest conversations, join us each week. Film Never Lies, available on all TSN platforms and the iHeartRadio app.